Hello and welcome to the in-news series of Drishti IAS. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Today we are going to discuss child marriages in India and around the world. What is their status? During the pandemic, as it was seen, there was an escalation of child marriages. It is important to keep a tab on the current situation. So that is the entire thing that we are going to cover today. From the perspective of GS Mains paper second, the society part, it is important that we understand that. And from the perspective of prelims, the other parts, factual ones, plus conceptual as well. What is the news? What is the situation in the world and where does India stand? How are the states placed in India? What are the efforts made by them? What are the laws and policy intervention? The issues, way forward, and a question in the last. Moving ahead, let's talk about the news. So, the UNFPA UNICEF Global Program to End Child Marriage, this group is on a visit to India to keep a tab on the current situation with respect to child marriages, in order to witness state intervention which have helped reduce the prevalence of child marriages. What are these initiatives that have been undertaken by the various states? There is an estimated increase in the number of child brides due to the pandemic, and 10 million children could become child brides. Okay, so this is the point of concern that this group has, along with others. So what is the situation in the world? If we talk about the situation currently, there is an estimation that 12 million per year children could become child brides and child groom. More than 150 million additional girls will marry before they turn 18 by the year 2030. Now, in past decade, great progress has been made in South Asia with respect to a decline in number of child marriages. It has dropped by more than a third. Earlier it was 50% to below 30%. Okay, children born to adolescent mothers have a greater possibility of seeing stunted growth as they have low weight at birth. And this is one of the issues why we are not in favor of child marriages. According to National Family Health Survey 5, prevalence of child stunting is 35.5% in the year 2019-21. So we do not want an addition to that. Moving ahead, let's talk about what is the stand of India. There is a growing trend for decline in child marriages in India. India has improved here, but still it's 23.3%. This is the national average. Considering that India has a population of 141.2 crore, this number is still very much. West Bengal, Bihar and Tripura top the list when it comes to different states. In terms of child marriages, their number is higher than the national average. 40% of women aged between 20 to 24 years right now married below the age of 18. That means before completing 18 years of age, they already were married off. So this is the case of child marriage. 47.4% India had this amount of child marriages in 2005-2006, but in 2015-16 it dropped to 26.8%. It registered a decline of 21 percent points during the past decade, the decade as we compare these two, not the past one. In the last 5 years, it declined by 3.5 percent points to reach 23.3% in the year 2020-21. So there is a decline, but the problem is that during the pandemic, certain states registered a growth in child marriages. So West Bengal and Bihar have the highest prevalence of girl child marriages. And the thing is that wherever we see any state having a large population of tribal poor, such as Jharkhand, we see an increase in number of child marriages. It's higher than for Jharkhand, it is higher than the national average. 32.2% of women in the age bracket of 20 to 24 got married before 18 years of age. Infant mortality accordingly stood at 37.9%. This is a consequence of the previous point. And 65.8% women in the category of 15 to 19 years of age are anemic because they are not getting proper nutrition to develop a fetus. Assam too has high prevalence of child marriage. It was 31.8% in 2019-20, and it actually rose from 30.8% in 2015-16. So we can see a register of an increase in trend. However, certain states such as Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Haryana have improved the rate of child brides, child marriages, we can see they have registered a decline. For Madhya Pradesh, it was 23.1% in 2021 as compared to 32.4% in 2015-16. For Rajasthan, higher than national average but still lesser than before. Haryana also has made a similar case. Now there are certain states which are doing very well with respect to decline. That means their percentage is below than the national average, such as Odisha. 20.5% of women were married off before the age of 18 in the year 2020-21, and it was 21.3% in 2015-16. The thing is that here a very decentralized system of child marriage free villages has been maintained. In Kerala, as we see, literacy and education is very high. This has gave us the result that child marriages are less prevalent over there. 6.3% there were child brides, child marriages in the year 2019-20. That has declined from 7.6% in the year 2015-16. Tamil Nadu, 12.8% of the women in the age group of 20 to 24 years got married before the age of 18. It was earlier 16.3 in the year 2015 and 16. So we can see a decline here as well. Moving ahead. Now, why do we need to understand that child marriages perpetuate poverty? It's a vicious cycle of poverty. Suppose child brides are more likely to remain in poverty. Why? And then they are the reason impoverished family may choose child marriage to reduce expense so that the children can get married earlier. They might not need to be spent over as much as their older selves would be. Then the girls who marry young lack education and economic opportunities. They are not able to contribute more towards the society and in the economic sphere as well. Now there are certain steps that were taken by the government before the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act and POCSO. We know that Hindu Marriage Act says that the bride should be at least 18 years of age and for the groom it is 21. A Special Marriage Act also makes the similar provision. And right now the government is mulling over increasing the age of marriage for women so that the fertility rate comes down and girls get more economic opportunities. Now, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act and POCSO are determined towards reducing and not even reducing, completely annihilating child marriages. And pros and cons of raising the age of marriage for women to the age of 21 is already being thought over. Now, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao are certain awareness programs and schemes that have been introduced by the government. Education, healthcare and awareness programs as well, such as West Bengal's Kanyashri scheme has been working to provide education to small girls by the help of opening a bank account. Now there is another scheme, Rupashri. It provides a one-time payment of rupees 25,000 to the poor families at the time of their daughter's marriage. But this is counterproductive because by this we can see the government has perpetuated the same kind of ideology that women need money, a family needs money only for a girl's marriage, not economic or educational enhancement of them. Bihar and other states have been implementing a cycle scheme to ensure that girls reach safely to school, and UP has a scheme to encourage girls to go back to school. Education is empowerment. Moving ahead, issues that we have to understand over here. Reforming a society can never be achieved by just having a law. It has to come from within these societies. A society which wants to reform itself has to provide the roadmap from the family itself by treating our sons and daughters equally, by ensuring that our girls and our daughters are similarly educated as our sons, not having any sort of discrimination amongst them in our homes is the right place to start. So first, that social reform should start at home. And there is lack of opportunity with respect to economic enhancement. Girls, specifically in rural areas, do not have as much as opportunities as the urban women have. So we need to ensure that we provide vocational institutions which is accessible to our daughters in the rural areas so that they can ensure that they are independent financially, right? Moving ahead, now let's talk about what needs to be done. Empowering girls through education and then providing them employment opportunities, creating proper public infrastructure so that they can transit themselves very securely. Apart from that, societal norms have to be addressed, awareness programs also, in making the girls and women interact with leaders. Women leaders is very important, then only they can see themselves in them. Decentralized implementation, it is important that it starts from the ground level, and that can be done with child protection committee and child marriage prohibition officers who raise awareness. Recommendation of the Shivraj Patil committee report in 2011 helped to decline the percentage of child marriages in Karnataka from 42% in 2005-2006 to 21.3% in 2019-20. Okay, now let's move on to our question. In the context of Indian history, the Rakhmabai or Rukmabai case of 1884 revolved around women's rights to gain education, age of consent, restitution of conjugal rights. We have to select the answer using the codes. Now I will take the names of those who have answered my last question correctly. Okay, so stay with me for a moment. So I asked you about the amendments and what they were actually from 99th to 102nd. Many of you have answered it correctly. Aditya has answered it correctly. Then I guess Pavan has answered it correctly. Also, Devraj has answered it correctly. Then Sachin, also Raja, also Megha has answered it correctly, Simi has answered it correctly, Aarti and Saurabh has answered it correctly. Also Abhay has answered it correctly. Krishna Pratap Rathore has answered it correctly. Alam has answered it correctly. Tushita and Medha. Okay, so thank you so much. Answer this question as well. I will take your names in the next segment.